This drama starts with you as 13 when her Moor died in front of her. That scene became center of her life. A dark garden, a shallow hole, and a rich woman watching while servants buried a body. You and her Moriao had come to city illegally hoping for simple factory work. Why ended up as maids in Sarah's mansion. Yao worked hard, stayed quiet, and told you to endure. Sarah told real rule. No noise at breakfast. One morning you dropped a steel bowl. It hit floor and rang loud in silent dining room. Sarah turned. Before you could speak, Yao said it was her fault. Sarah slapped her, doubled IR work, and cut IR food. Yao bowed and accepted it. Sarah had a son, Fat, a shy boy sent to an expensive school. You only saw him once looking at servants as he drove away. She thought he was just another piece of Sarah's world and tried not to think about him again. Months later, Sarah threw a party. Her smuggling partner Matt noticed you and told Sarah he wanted her sent to his house. Yao begged Sarah to let him leave instead. Sarah refused. You don't get to choose, she said. That night, Sarah ordered you to pack a bag. 2 men waited to take her away. Yao finally broke. In front of everyone, she slapped Sarah across face. Whole house froze. Guards rushed and lights went out, and in confusion, Yao pushed you toward back stairs. Why made it as far as garden before, why were caught? Under old tree, Yao was forced to her knees. Sarah, hair messy and eyes cold, pulled out a knife. You hit me, she said softly. Do you think Re is no price? You screamed and begged. It did nothing. Knife was quick. Grave was shallow. Sarah made you watch as Yao's body disappeared under dirt. Remember this, she whispered. Remember your place. You remembered. Later she woke tied up in back of a van, her Moor's metal hairpin in her fist. Matt's men joked about her. When Y argued over who would touch her first, she drove hairpin into one man's neck, ticked door open, and ran. Y chased her to a bridge. With headlights coming and river below, you climbed rail and jumped. River didn't kill her. Years passed. You built a life in another country. She used a different name, worked quiet jobs, and sent careful messages to Niue, a woman her Moor had once trusted. Through her you learned that Sarah was still rich, still powerful, and now smuggling migrants on a larger scale. People who complained disappeared. Niue told her one thing that mattered. Sarah's son was living in London. You found Fat in a coffee shop. He looked older, tired, and lonely. She bumped his table, caught his falling phone, and smiled. He thanked her, and after a moment asked if she wanted to sit. That was how it started. He was nothing like Sarah. Fat was gentle, overly polite, and quick to blame himself. After a while he admitted he had seizures and panic attacks. Sometimes he woke up remembering a girl screaming and his Moor digging in garden. He did not know who girl was. He did not want to remember. You listened, torn between pity and purpose. She copied his key, saw messages he got from home, and passed information to Niue. In return she learned how large Sarah's smuggling business had grown. And Fat said, I want you to meet my Moor. Going back to mansion felt like walking into a nightmare. Servants still looked down when Sarah passed. One maid had bruises on her wrists. Sarah came downstairs in silk and perfume. For a moment, she saw only a pretty stranger on her son's arm. And she noticed old hairpin in Yu's hair. Her smile went stiff. So this is woman you chose, Sarah said. Garden was gone. In its place was a glass room with a tall tree growing through floor. You touched trunk and felt her hands shake. Her Moor was still under part of roots. That night you gave Sarah a small metal ornament as a gift. Inside was a camera. From N on she played 2 parts. In front of everyone she was a shy, loving fiancé. Alone at night, she watched Sarah on her phone, counting money, arranging shipments, talking about people as numbers and problems. Niue urged her to wait until Y had enough to make charges stick. You agreed. Sarah did not wait. At a family dinner, Sarah poured you a glass of wine herself. Hours later, you collapsed, vomiting blood. Fat rushed her to hospital in a panic. Doctor said it was an allergy. You understood. Sarah would kill her like she had killed Yao. You chose not to run. To buy time, she told Fat she might be pregnant. Tests confirmed it. Fat cried and promised Y would build a quiet life far from mansion. You wanted to believe him, but house still had bodies in its roots. She asked bruised maid for help. Y slipped into Sarah's private room while a camera was covered for repairs. Y found bank records and a recording of Sarah calmly explaining how to hide dead workers at a construction site. New Way leaked audio. Scandal burst into news. Fat started to notice how much of Yu's story did not add up. He went to office where she claimed to work and found no trace of her. Old images came back. Girl tree his more digging. When he saw hairpin clearly pieces finally fit. He confronted Yu. She could have lied. Instead, she told him about Bull Slap Tree River years of planning. She showed him scars Sarah had burned into her skin and said, "You're more killed mine." Fat cried. "And you still stayed with me? I didn't plan to love you," you said. "But I did." He did not walk away. "We can't let her keep doing this," he said. "Even if she's my more." Y went back to Mansion Togger. Sarah was waiting near tree perfectly dressed, holding herself Togger with anger. She mocked you as an ungrateful maid. When that failed, she tried to bargain. Money, houses, clean papers, maids' freedom. You had only to leave and stay silent. You refused. And Sarah grabbed a gun and aimed at her. If you had stayed in River, she hissed, none of this would be happening. She fired. Fat moved faster than he thought he could. Bullet hit his chest. He fell into Yu's arms, bleeding. She screamed for an ambulance. Sarah refused to call. If police came, Y would find everything she had buried. When Yu reached for phone herself, Sarah struck her. World went dark. She woke to a quiet house and one sentence from a crying maid, "He's gone." Yu stood up feeling hollow and sharp at same time and followed sound of scraping earth to glass room. Sarah was on her knees at base of tree, digging hard, trying to bury past again. In disturbed soil, Yu saw a pale piece of bone. She picked it up and knew with a kind of painful certainty that it belonged to Yao. Sarah turned hair, wild eyes bright with fear and hate. "This is your fault," she shouted. "I did everything for him." You stepped close, bone clutched in her fist. "You killed him, Knight, you killed her," she said. Sarah lunged. You did not run this time. Every year of fear, grief, and anger moved through her arm. Bone slid between ribs. Sarah gasped, stared at you, and fell at roots of tree. When police arrived, called by New Way, you was sitting on floor, hands bloody but steady. She told them everything and confessed to killing Sarah. Later, alone in a small interview room, she listened to last voicemail Fat had sent her. Yu's voice said quietly, "Whatever Y did to you, it doesn't make you unworthy. You deserve peace." Outside, officers dug under tree and carried bones away in white bags. Inside, you rested a hand on her stomach and felt a small, fluttering life. Her past was full of graves. Her future was unclear. But truth was no longer buried, and that she decided would be enough for Yao, for Fat, and for every nameless soul Sarah had turned into a number. And drama concludes.